I'm Ellen Horan, President and CEO at the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome to this week's Member Spotlight. And with me today is Tim Meade, the owner of CertaPro Painters. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Ellen. It's good to be here today.
Good. Well, Tim, I thought we'd talk a little bit about your story, you know, how you came to be at CertaPro. And I know there was a lot that came before CertaPro. One of the things I learned about you early on is you're a West Point grad.
Just like your husband?
Yep. That's why it stuck. And that always seems to be a pretty memorable experience for people.
It was a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I'm glad I'm not still there. They can't play football anymore. In fact, they don't. West Point doesn't even have a website.
So sad.
Yeah, they can't even have a website because they can't put three W's together. No, I graduated from there, and obviously I spent a few years in the Army. I went to work for the largest paper company in the world, International Paper. I was with them for quite a few years and left as a division manager and a vice president. Went to work with Interstate Resources here in Reading and decided to get out of the corporate world and find a business of my own. And I did a pretty exhaustive search and tried to find a company that I really liked, had the core values that I thought were important, that concentrated on the customer and concentrated on, you know, giving something over and above what you would normally get in normal painting service. So
Right. Well, you worked in manufacturing for a long time.
I did.
And then decided you wanted to do something else before your retirement. What made you think about the franchise route?
You know, I looked at a number of individual businesses, and for a number of reasons that just wasn't a good fit. And there was a lot of businesses that, you know, the valuation wasn't correct. So I looked at a number of different franchises in the interim because there's a lot of good franchises out there. And CertaPro they had the values, they had the customer service, they had a value-added service that they provided. And I really liked the integrity and the morals, the culture of the company. And so decided that was something I wanted to be a part of. Good.
Now, if someone out there is thinking about starting a business and they think they might want to look at franchises, how do they even get started on that? What process did you use?
Great question. I actually went through a franchise consultant. So there are a number of consultants out there that they represent somewhere around 200, 300 franchises. And I went through a process of about 6 or 8 weeks where we get on the phone every single week and talk about what it was that I was trying to create and what it was that was important to me. So, for example, we could pretty quickly eliminate the fact that I didn't want to be in food service or I didn't want to be tied to a storefront. And so that gave them a number of ideas about what was really important to me in terms of quality of life, in terms of what you could earn, in terms of what the business did and how it made money and that type of thing. And so they narrowed actually the number of franchises from 250 down to 6, and then I could explore each and every one of those and find out which one were the best fit for me and for my wife.
Yeah. Well, and obviously CertaPro has ended up being a good fit for you because last year Tim and Jill, his wife, and CertaPro Painters were recognized as our top entrepreneurial company.
Thanks. Yeah, we certainly appreciated that honor.
And that's based on sales growth, by the way. So very, very good sign. How long have you had the franchise?
We actually started in the first part of 2011, so it's been 3.5, almost 4 years now.
Okay.
And growth has been pretty good. Our first year we did a little over $500,000. Last year a little over $900,000, and we'll probably top $1.3 million this year.
Okay. So what are some of the biggest challenges you have in running your business?
I think the biggest challenge, like with any business, is finding good, competent, qualified people to work with. And we go through an extensive process to try to find painters that are willing to communicate and can communicate well, that are really interested in the customer service, and really, you know, finding somebody that does a good quality job of painting is relatively simple. It's hard to find the painters that really care about the customer, and that's their primary concern.
And you need that because your employees are going into people's homes.
Yes.
And they're the face of the business once the sale is made.
And I wouldn't want to hire somebody that I wouldn't want to have in my home.
Right.
And so we go through a process. I would say for every 10 painters that we talk to, we hire one. So it's a pretty difficult process to go through. And we have a special, I'm the first time I ever meet them, I meet them at 6 o'clock in the morning just to make sure that they can be on time and that they're reliable and that they can get up that early and that
The
type
West
of thing.
Point in you's coming out.
It is. It is.
That's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, and that way, if there's, I try to screen them out. If there's any other issues, a lot of times they show up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Very good. Now, your wife Jill also works in the business. So many chamber members are family-run businesses. How do you find that balance then of keeping a home life and not bringing work home and not having too much togetherness?
It's real simple. I wear the pants in the family. She just tells me what color to put on.
Oh,
so no, Jill is the glue that holds us all together. We have 3 different salespeople plus myself, and then Jill is the office administrator and in charge of the production. And we have very clearly defined roles. So she has clearly defined roles, and I have clearly defined roles. And so I don't try to tell her how to do her job, and she doesn't try to tell me how to do ours. I do have to say we bring the business home a lot, but it's so much better than when I was an executive vice president. I was on the road 45 to 48 weeks a year. And now I can come home almost every single night. I don't have to travel as much anymore. So I'm spending more time with her, and it actually works out very, very well for us.
Very good. Excellent. Are there any tips you would give other small businesses within the chamber that would be interested in achieving the kind of growth you've had that earned you that award?
There's a number of things that I think help that growth, but for example, one of them is being very active in the chamber. I think that has been a tremendous help to us just to get to know you and get to know your staff. Mm-hmm. And they're always helping me find new and better ways of networking, meeting other people to grow the business. We do a significant amount of marketing. I think we typically have somewhere between 12 and 16% of our budget goes into marketing every single year. So that helps with the growth. But the most important part is not just meeting people, but it's actually providing a great service when we do meet them. So you're never asked, and our largest business right now is our previous customers. You never grow a business if people don't ask you to come back.
Right. I used you twice.
That's right. It's been twice now.
Very good. Since so many of our members are always looking for marketing tips, what marketing avenues have you found the most beneficial?
Boy, there's a tremendous number of we do a lot of, I'll tell you my philosophy when it comes to marketing. One of the things that I think is critically important is rather than try to go wide, we try to go deep. And what do I mean by that? We find a very specific target market that we're shooting for. So I know who my target customers are, and it has to do with household income, and it has to do with house value and their profession and that type of thing. So I try to find those folks within the community and then target those housing areas and that type of thing. So I try to channel most of our funds into that rather than placing a lot of, for example, television ads that reach everybody. Let's reach the people who are interested in our service. And so that's where I spend most of our time. So you'll see CertaPro signs all over the place, but usually they're in pretty select places. They're in areas that we want to reach. We send out 90,000 pieces of direct mail, but that direct mail goes to very specific people and very specific addresses and certain demographics and that type of thing. So my biggest advice for marketing is define your target market, define who you're going to work for, and then try to put your marketing dollars and your marketing resources into that group.
Great. Obviously, good tips have worked for you, and congrats on the award again last year. You and Jill certainly earned it, and we're happy to have you a member of the Chamber, and thanks for coming and sharing your story.
Well, thanks for all the great things you do for us, Ellen. Appreciate it.